could you forget about everything? All the sweaty nights we spent last spring. Oh, I could never leave this happily. Losing you leaves me with nothing. How could you expect me not to fuss and fight? I'm telegraphing everything I feel inside. Oh, why do we do this all the time? But I can never get you out of my head. Why don't you just go back to bed? Forget about anything when every single day is like some weird dream. Oh, I can never leave this happily when half of me is you and half you me. How can I expect you not to smile and laugh when half the time I'm acting like a psychopath? Oh, why would I go and screw this up? You forget about everything, all the sweaty nights we spent last spring. Oh, I can never leave this happily. Losing you leaves me with nothing. How could you expect me not to fuss and fight? I'm telegraphing everything I feel inside. Oh, why do we do this all the time? It turns me inside out. The lights go off and I hear you breathe right in next to me. Every night when the sun goes down, it turns me inside out. The lights go off and I hear you breathe right here next to me. I can get so lonely I could die. I get so worked up, I just need you near, near. I can get so lonely I could die. I get so worked up, I just need you near, near. I can get so need you near, near. I can get so lonely I could die. I get so lonely I could die. I get so lonely I could. It's called How Could You?
It occurred to me, the studio audience has permission to clap, so I've had people ask if it's okay, and I would say as long as it's not in the middle of a song, which has happened.
Yeah, but it's always the funniest of experiences because it's such a small, intimate audience, and it's like, I don't expect clapping, but I should earn it. If I'm going to get it.
See, I'm so unused to not having radio equipment or something in my hand. I'm used to clapping like this, which looks stupid, but I'm not also used to having the camera right behind me. So I just gave away why I look stupid sometimes. But in any event, I'm not even sure any of the major projects you have had started last time you were here. I mean, you had the band name Elsinore, but I don't remember if you were married. I don't remember if you had a house. I don't remember. And I think only one person besides you has been a consistent presence in Elsinore since then. So
Indeed.
rather than me asking how specific people are doing, why don't you just tell me how the people you want to update me on are doing?
Right.
Because I would like to include your circles in this.
So the last time the band would have played, it would have been the 4 original members. And in October, late September 2012, 2 of them decided they wanted to do something different. And Mark and I very quickly said, like, well, okay, that was a good run, but we still have things to do as Elsinore. And then recruited James, who's now our drummer, James Treichler, and a wonderful gentleman named Brad Threlkeld, who was our bass player from October 2012 until about 2 years ago, like pretty much to the day, right now, November of 2017. And so now we have a new bass player named Adam Wayne and a good friend of his from Chicago as well, Andy Masters. And turns out the 2 of them also went to EIU, where Mark and I formed the band. And so all of us have gone through the EIU music program, except James, who grew up in Decatur, so was around Millikan a lot, and then went to U of I and has been doing music forever. So I think it's finally the combination of 5 humans who should be making music together for all the right reasons, right? There are no fights. We're all mature adults. 2 of us with kids, 3 of us are married, trying to make it feel really good that Adam and Andy live in Chicago and that 3 of us live here and that we're all just wanting to be musicians and be doing that together.
When you say there are no fights, I believe one of the previous members actually started a band called The Fights. So
Indeed.
The Fights can actually be a positive, doesn't have to be a negative thing.
Right,
but
We're all about not having any lowercase fights in the band Elsinore.
Since we have regular listeners now from Alberta, Oregon, Washington, Wyoming, New York, Florida, Georgia, and so on,
Wonderful.
They may not all realize that when you first started playing here and when I first started seeing you, you weren't actually a local band yet.
Right.
And you came here to pursue music, right?
The wonderful and still living here, Larry Gates, was the reason that we came here in the first place.
But I seem to remember somebody giving you a job as sort of a, like, please move here kind of thing.
Right. I mean, Larry plugged us into the music scene, plugged me into the music scene before Elsinore was even anything in 2001. And we played at the Canopy Club and met Larry Gates and Lorenzo Getz.
And I thought Green Jenkins was some old man in a rocking chair.
Right. And it turned out just to be my pre-Elsinore band, right?
Well, the thing is, you and Mark, I guess, have been such a consistent, it almost at this point, it's like, oh, yeah, what were they called then? Because we have a couple of CDs that people don't know they're you until I put them on, but it's clearly
my
the same.
Bands before Elsinore.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm thinking solo-ish.
Oh, right.
Ryan Groff and some person that I don't know what happened to them, but
I don't know who he is, I didn't do it, wherever he is,
Anyhow, I am glad to hear that people are accounted for and happy and if people aren't in the band and they also don't even live in Illinois anymore, it probably worked itself out well because it'd be awkward, talking about people coming down from Chicago, but it's a lot harder, I think, to be in a band if you live in another time zone and another latitude. And
well, thankfully, I think when you leave a band, you do it for whatever reason, and those guys had their reasons, and it was a very amicable split.
That's good.
And I think we're all doing what we're supposed to do now, so that's good. And
Yeah,
it was a long time ago too. It's crazy.
Well, it also,
7 years ago.
I don't know that it's really that different from marriage. If people aren't feeling it, it's
right.
Yeah, and with the band, it's not for the sake of the kids. So
right.
maybe the kids at the Canopy Club or whatever, but
we're just these kids that we call songs and albums.
Right.
Yeah. Which
so now that we have devoted time and attention to that, I certainly would like you to have some flow, some continuity. So if you want to do 2 or 3 in a row and just flag me down, and maybe just tell where people can hear these songs if they're from an old EP or an upcoming album. I assume most of these are going to be on the new album.
Yeah, I think I'm only going to play songs from our new record, which is called A Life in the 21st Century.
No Morrissey tonight?
No Morrissey.
Speaking of bands that are no longer all...
Right. There. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking I don't have much hope for a Smiths reunion, but...
Right, yeah. Well, that's why, I just don't plan on Elsinore ever breaking up, so you don't have to worry about the reunion tour or whatever it is. Yeah.
You remember my favorite joke? Did you hear Trent Reznor broke up?
No.
You can't really break up a band if the
It's
core
just
is
him.
yeah.
It's just the one guy.
I guess if he had a Siamese twin we didn't know about, but
Right. Brent
yes. So
Reznor.
this next, I like that. That should be somebody's pen name. But what is the song? I think it's the one I played last week.
Yeah. The list I have at my feet is literally just the City Center set list, and I've been absorbing and soaking and osmoting, just preparing myself to have this at my feet when we do play the show.
Now I know what the O stands for.
Right? Yeah. So I do think I'll play the second song on the record, which we just released a video for just a few days ago. It's called Turn It On. It's been so hard to decide whether or not to give it away, but I think I have to. The song is actually If I Had the Chance encounter of talking with Donald Trump face to face. That's what the song is really about. So, which the video gives no allusion to that because Emily Blue didn't know that when she was making the record, and then I said, by the way, this is me talking to Donald Trump, if I could face to face. Just imagining like, how did you get to where you are today? I think is what it really boils down to. That's really what I'm asking.
Okay.
How did all this happen? What happened? Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to play. And then something
Okay.
else. Yeah. Here we go.
Can you feel it in your heavy heart? Do you remember anything from when you were young? Is that when everything went so wrong? Did you start out pulling everything apart? You grew up, you couldn't get enough. Sweaty skin, cocaine and gin, bursting with sin. You could never let anybody in, and all the money won't help you sleep at night. Do you ever get the feeling that your heart just isn't in this one? I can tell you all about it, but you wouldn't listen anyway. You turn it on, but no one cares. You can spend your time on towers and walls, piling up the gold and bricks in all of your bullshit. You could never let anybody in, while you're fondling the reputation of us all. I can get you out of my mind. I just need to get some normal sleep again. You're the crazy psycho killer man, and we're the victims of the 21st century. Do you ever get the feeling that your heart just isn't in this one? I can tell you all about it, but you wouldn't listen anyway. You turn it on, but no one cares. And you're sitting there in your underwear. you're sitting there in your underwear. You turn it on, but no one cares, and you're sitting there in your underwear. You turn it on, but no one cares. You're sitting there in your underwear. The Keith, that's called Turn It On. And now this is called The Human Condition, which actually, for those of you listening, you will now know that for a while the working title to the new record was The Human Condition, and then this song came out of that idea, and then the record kept developing after that. So a year and a half ago, the record was maybe going to be called The Human Condition, and then we kept unfolding and unfolding and unfolding, and it became something larger. Here it is. How can I get you alone? I've got something on my mind all the time, and it keeps me up at night, running circles in my brain. There is a certain flaw in the circuits of the mind, yours and mine, and it gets me all uptight. Little burdens echoing the things we can't forget, the pain and the pleasure, for worse or for better, despite your deepest conviction, it's the human condition. There is a struggle to life if you never compromise and get yourself together. We're wired to take what we want, and we hate when we can't, and nobody is safe. This is my mother, my father, my son and my daughter. This is my wife and my worst enemy. This is a thirst without water, a coin from the coffer. This is the thing that you saw on TV. It pushes and pulls you, the pain and the pleasure, for worse or for better. It's such a strange disposition, the human condition. Oh, and everything you want is half of what you need, and everything I think is right is hard to believe right now, but I will try a little harder. The pain and the pleasure, despite your intuition. It's the human condition. Thank you.
WEFT 90.1 FM Champaign. Ryan Groff is our guest tonight on WEFT Sessions. And one thing that's special to me about music is with most people, you never know what reaction music will get.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I only have heard from 2 listeners so far tonight specifically commenting on the music. And the 2 people I've listened to apparently don't identify as human, which wasn't the reaction I was anticipating because I was just thinking, oh, a nice universal theme. Yeah. And they're like, gee, I'm glad I'm not part of that. I'm like, okay. So WEFT really caters to some interesting demographics because I didn't anticipate that.
Right. This is like in the last 26 minutes?
The last 2 minutes.
Oh, that's wonderful. I really thought I was casting a pretty wide net.
Me too. As I said,
Yeah.
I'm constantly surprised and challenged by people's pure reactions, but that they didn't say they didn't enjoy it, just that they didn't relate to the human experience or something like that.
Right.
So,
well, I will try a little harder.
well, just know that apparently you transcend.
Yeah.
There are social circles you weren't aware you were reaching. So, or they're full of it.
Right. I hope that the former is true. I hope that if they're full of anything, it's like common sense and decency and a good time.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever said
Right.
earthling mankind has a monopoly on treating people well.
Well, right. Exactly. In that case, I think I'll jump to track 6 on the record, which is one of the few songs that doesn't feel autobiographical because I don't think I'm this person. And throughout the entire writing process, it never felt like me, but I kept knowing where to go with it. It's called This Heart Gets Lonely. So we'll see if this connects to a wide audience as well, if this is something that everyone can.
Did you say a wide audience?
A wide audience, yeah.
I heard white at first, and I'm like, he
No,
wouldn't.
no. I don't ever specifically try to connect to strictly a white audience.
Here's a song to all you Aleutian Islanders who have been whitewashed out of Alaskan history.
Right, so this one just feels like it's fueled by social networking, and it's fueled by the particular set of years that we're all experiencing right now, just kind of across the board, you know. And that's not just politically, but emotionally and intellectually and physically. That's where the title of the record came from for me, and why I decided to choose such a hugely genuine and pretentious title for the record, because it really felt like the only way that I was going to bundle them all together with my bandmates in Elsinore was to say, like, this is literally just like the last 15 years of my particular songwriter life wrapped into 10 songs, you know? And it didn't feel like anything less than that. And so I feel like that's how wide I went with it, so therefore that's what I decided. This is a life in the 20%.
Could I posit one thing here?
Yeah, for sure.
I started to say, I was trying to think of somebody that writes frothy pop songs, and I started to say, I guess this isn't going to be a Rebecca Black type song, but I just read a rather heartbreaking profile that she had already moved on. She did that when she was 12 or 13, and she'd already moved on. Yeah. She never intended it for a wide audience. It was just like a vanity project to complete like her guitar lessons or something. And it went viral a year or two later, and she was getting hate mail. Right. And, you know, she's evolved and matured like 15 years since then.
She was 12.
Yeah. And, you know, you pick on any 12-year-old for their songwriting, and you think about it, and it's like, this person isn't just frozen at age 12.
Right. Which reminds me, I have my son Oliver worked with me in the studio one day and made his first single. I'll have to deliver it to WEFT.
Okay. As long as he doesn't mind it going viral and people promise to like be respectful to her. Okay, good.
We're trying to build like college funds. So,
excellent.
Yeah, he's so ready. Yeah. And I will proudly tell you that the title he came up with is The Reason Donald Trump Should Be in the Trash.
I think I read about this.
Yeah.
You sent out email or something.
I did, yeah. It's on Bandcamp.
Wait, wouldn't it not recycling?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah. Some things you can't read. It's called Cactus, Cactuss, which is also his choice. I had to add the S at the end because there was already some band in 1981 or something called Cactus that I was like, well, we don't want to get in trouble here, so we added an extra S. But Oliver has his first single and has a few demos on.
Now, wait a minute. I remember I've liked Oliver since the days of Good Morning Starshine and Gene. So,
right.
He actually may need to add another R to Oliver if he's not the same Oliver.
I know, right? Oliver and his band Cactus.
Yes. Oliver, who has a last name and just isn't using it.
Exactly. Yeah. So here it is. This is track 6 from our new record, which comes out Saturday. This is called "This Heart Gets Lonely."
This heart gets lonely all the time. I just can't get you out of my mind. You're there in my dreams every night. No matter what I tell myself, I know you're happier with someone else, but I just can't forget your smell. Oh, but every time I wanna call, I know that I will look like the crazy one. This body still feels the chemicals. I'm sorry I ever called it off. How can we just get some time alone? Don't we belong together? Don't we belong together? Don't we belong together? Don't we belong together? I need to tell you all my thoughts. There's weight on my chest and I can't get it off. How can we just get some time alone? But every time I wanna call, I hear that voice inside that says, don't, don't, don't. If we put ourselves together, I know we could last forever. Don't we belong together? Don't we belong together? Don't we belong together? Don't we belong together? This heart is never gonna let you go. How can I get you on the telephone? This heart is feeling like a hurricane. This body body quivers at the thought of you. How can I counteract the pheromones? This body doesn't stand a chance against the memory of you. This heart gets lonely all the time. I just can't catch you out of my mind. You're there in my dreams every night. Don't we belong together? Don't we belong together?
All right, it's called This Heart Gets Lonely. A little dip into the darker side of social networking. Now I will pull a complete U-turn and play the last track from the record, which is about my lovely, supportive, and amazing wife. And this is called Resolution 9, which we just released a video for about 2 weeks ago or so, made by local filmmaker Keenan Daly, who did a fantastic job at animating the story that I'm about to unfold about being married, having a person who helps you stay sane and challenges you and pushes you to do lots of good things, even when there are tiny people involved who try to keep you up all night every night for the rest of your life. Here it is.
Tapping into your heartbeat every single night. I probably told you, but it's keeping us in time. Looking all the way back, you're the product of some crazy things. How can I get you alone? 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 Every day is filled from front to back with all the things we choose to do. And these two tiny dependents we've added on to me and you. Things used to be so much easier. We'd be fools to say they were better. Better, better, better. How can I get you alone? 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 I can never get you alone, never get you alone. I see us lying there in the backyard. I think I might be losing my mind. You put your fingers to my lips and wrap your leg around mine. Oh, isn't this nice? We both take a breath and say, oh, isn't this nice? Oh, 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 oh. Thank you. That's called a Resolution 9.
Remind me after the show to show you at least one message I got that is more directed at you, well, equally to both of us.
I can't wait.
I'm happy I've now heard from some of my listeners who do identify as actual human beings, so there is balance.
Right.
And we should plug your show.
Oh my God, we haven't done that yet.
I feel like we talked about it, but we didn't tell people where or when.
We just kind of like sniffed toward it, you know?
Well, we did one thing right.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to give out cover, but
Right.
everything else is fair dinkum, and we should dinkum.
So we can't say what the cover charge is?
You can, well, if it's a WEFT fundraiser, you can.
Gotcha.
But you
Gotcha.
still can say everything else.
Good.
And you can also repeat it at the end of the show to remind people.
And can I also use the word dinkum?
If you're Australian, or you love someone Australian, or they love you, or you have a pouch.
I just have a belly button, so.
I wasn't asking, but
Right. I checked, though,
okay.
just to be sure. Saturday night, which is November 16th, 2019, Elsinore and I will lovingly share the stage at City Center right here in downtown Champaign with Prevalence, a wonderful duo of fine young gentlemen who I've had the pleasure of knowing and working with for a long time. They both go to Parkland. They're both fantastic musicians. They're in the Perimeter Road sound recordings world out there. Two really fantastic dudes, and I can't wait to hear what they do in such a large and welcoming space. It's a very strange paradox, the City Center, because it's so big, but it's such a beautiful, wonderful, welcoming space that we had such a fun time playing the cover-up in February. So excited to see those guys on such a big stage. And then Mermaid Heaven, they're a newer act, which includes our drummer, James Treichler. It's another act that he has going right now. And
About a year
makes
ago,
cool music.
somebody asked me who they were, and I didn't know. And there was some question whether they were like a secret mystery project or not.
Right.
I think it was like he said he heard Mermaid Heaven on WEFT, and Mermaid Heaven
Right.
was like, no, you didn't. And
Right.
it was... he's like, well, do you have their stuff? I'm
Right.
like, I don't know what you're talking about.
So the story is there was a band called Sleeping Okami, who I think played on WEFT.
That is correct.
And Elizabeth and Sam, the singer, guitar player, and keyboardist of Sleeping Okami, parted ways with the other people in the band. They
Okay.
just had creative differences.
Never happens with bands.
Never ever, right, yeah. And they'd come to my studio and worked on a few things, and I got to know them quite a bit. And I just encouraged them to do whatever felt right. And they had also met James at some point, so it felt kind of nice that there was this band of people in their 20s working really hard, making really cool music, and we didn't want to see that music stop. And so thankfully Elizabeth, who's the primary songwriter, and Sam, who's like her #1 collaborator, they started chatting with James and going to his studio and working on demos and showing him songs. And James just liked it so much that he was like, I would just love to play drums with you guys, and let's just fill it out and do something with it. And so it's come a long way, and they just did a Pygmalion set and have played a few shows. So it just made sense to have Mermaid Heaven play.
So I hope the gentleman that thought he knew about them is validated or otherwise satisfied by that explanation. I learned a lot.
Right, That's why we're here.
And I'm thinking my listeners who claim not to be of this earth, mermaid is maybe they can work with that even if they can't work with normal.
Right. Some sort of special being that happens and creates wonder in all of us, right?
Yes.
And then our bass player, Adam, also has another group up in Chicago called Family of Geniuses. And they will be the third act of the night. They will go on right before we are on the stage. And kind of a fun pop. I don't want to use the word funk because they're not like a funk group, but it's a funky sort of dance pop band that's just great energy and good vibes and lots of cool stuff.
You are blowing my mind about people being in more than one band. Like, can you imagine if Dave Grohl were in more than one band?
No.
Or Greg Dully, or
Right.
I mean, it just, how would that even be possible?
I don't know. Like, I've never wanted to be in more than one band.
Or Ian Shepherd. I mean, if he were in more than one band at the same time,
Right. It'd be really weird.
James.
Yeah.
James should try that. James should be in two bands at once.
My drummer?
James Treichler, yes.
Well, he's in Mermaid Heaven.
I see the facetiousness did not work there. He's in, like, I thought 30 bands.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Dirty Feathers will play randomly, so I guess technically James is in three
It
bands.
used to be kind of a joke that there were, two drummers in Champaign, but that they were in all the bands.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Totally. I'm sorry I didn't catch your
It was
facetiousness.
It was just me trying to share something that maybe not everybody in the radio ether would pick up on.
Oh,
but
yeah. Totally.
Only time I've ever attempted that, though.
Right.
Everything else has been completely,
So hopefully not too cold of a Saturday night we will have on our hands. But 7 p.m. Doors, 8 p.m. Prevalence, followed by Mermaid Heaven, followed by Family of Geniuses, followed by us in
that's a
Elsinore.
big bill.
So a 4-band bill in a very, again, wonderfully welcoming and large space. And Ben Wagner, who's the manager over there, and his staff are always the most pleasant, the most inviting, amazing people. So I think we're very fortunate to have City Center right now when all of a sudden, we don't have Cowboy Monkey.
Right.
And we don't have any semblance of the High Diver, the Accord, or anything. I think Ben really just wants the City Center to be a venue where people they don't think, oh, that place is huge. And I don't think we could have local shows there. I think we just reached out and said, we'd love to have a local show. He's like, we'd love to have a local show, too. And it was a very easy thing to have.
Just say before moving on, anybody in the city of Champaign right now who is making local shows happen, I just want to know how I can help promote because
all of us,
I've had people rather flippantly tell me when I said I was going to a show, oh, nobody's interested in shows. Why are you going to you don't want to go to a show. And it's like, no. There may not be a lucrative, it may not be a big moneymaker right now, but I guarantee you if there are people going from Champaign to Tolono for shows, these same people would love to not have to drive.
Totally.
Even Tolono's great, don't get me wrong, but the thought
now that it's cold.
The thought of actually not having to break bones in this weather or spend a lot on gas or just to actually go to a show and already be close to getting home again is kind of mind-blowing.
And I think that we can't not talk about the fact that Blackbird is doing music most nights of the week.
I said Champaign.
You did, in fact.
Because when I go to shows now, it's generally in Urbana.
It's in Urbana, right? All right.
And God bless Urbana for having them.
For real. Yeah, Blackbird and Rose Bowl are picking up so much of the slack, and that's fantastic. But, I think that we just have to, we in this local music scene, we have to just do whatever we can to make it happen. So that's what we in Elsinore are choosing to do, kind of forging our own path. Right?
If I can just add one last thing.
Sure.
We used to have a board in the booth, and people would tell us about shows, and we would tell about the shows. And I just sort of take for granted doing the local show that in the second hour I'm going to have shows to talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm not hearing about most of them now. So if people feel like I'm ignoring their shows, please tell me about them.
Tell Todd about your shows,
I'm
please.
psychic, but I have my limitations. So I have to know about a show beforehand. If I know about it, I can play stuff on air, and you could get free airplay, and it's not a quid pro quo because I'm not getting anything out of it except getting to enjoy listening to it.
Right. Exactly. Right.
So I need relevant story. It's going to turn into an oldie show.
Indeed. Well, before we run out of time. Which you and I often do because we love each other's company and each other's conversation.
3 more, I hope.
Maybe.
Do 2. We'll talk. Do 1 more.
2 for sure. I mean, we'll see how it all feels. I think.
Yes.
I feel 2 for sure. But again, Elsinore and I will be at City Center on Saturday. It's a very big deal. This record took us 5.5 years to make because of life and not giving ourselves a pressured deadline and just wanting it to all go right. And we think that it did. So the vinyl is being shipped to us currently. We'll have it this week before the show, and people can get it there. We'll probably end up pressing CDs, maybe a limited run of CDs, because some people still like to buy CDs.
WEFT would like one, I can tell you that.
But it will certainly be available digitally and in the streaming atmosphere for everyone, indeed. So here we go. This is a song called Pressure Points that's also on the second half of the new record, song number 7. Here it is, kind of a weird dream upon waking song.
Thinking all the way back, I was raised by a hurricane, and I cried at almost everything and put my faith in nothing. And I saw too many wedding rings, too many broken heartstrings. Waking in the middle of the night, I see a low glow from outside, and I think of how she always cried. My heart is ticking off the time. An apparition here at my bedside. My fingers sneak to the other side. I can do these exercises, turning my face blue, succumbing to the pressure points and doing bad things to you. I feel like I'm letting you down again. Clinging to my past lives, my body fills with a current, and my brain goes off on a tangent, an existential torrent. A half-successful treatment, I was always the quotient. I can do these exercises, turning my face red, succumbing to the pressure points and keeping me out of bed. No alarms, but some surprises. I was 22. You know all these weather systems that led me right to you. To you. I let my heartbeat sing right up with yours, so you know. Who the hell does that anymore? Who the hell does that anymore? I let my heartbeat sink right up with yours. walls, though you know. You know who the hell does that anymore? I'll do anything to satisfy you. I'll do anything to satisfy you. Thank you. That's Pressure Points. I'll do just one more. And this is song 5 on the new record. Again, it's called A Life in the 21st Century as Todd sprints from the booth.
Is this definitely the last one?
This is definitely
okay,
the last
we
one.
always talk before the last song because
better talk.
otherwise we have dead air while I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I
I'll
do
pretend
want
I
to.
remembered that, so I'd say that was a test to see how fast I could get Todd out here to.
So we, at bare minimum, we should plug the show one more time so that
Absolutely.
people come away knowing, and the record too.
Yeah. Yeah, the record is called A Life in the 21st Century, and it's out on my very own record label, the first on that label called Perennial Records. Of course, I would botch it right as I want to say it.
Well, it's not like you came up with it.
At all. Yeah. I just stole it. Yeah, we decided to self-release this record because we feel like it's been in our own cradle, it's been in our own nest for so long, and it just kind of made sense to put it out there into the world because only we know how this record feels and sounds, and it's a weird thing to be in the music business and try to trust anybody else without, you kind of making a connection that makes sense, or if you cold call, it just feels strange, or if you are sort of pandering, you just have to ask people like, listen to this record, and if you like it and you want to help us do something cool with it, that's great. But we'll just do cool stuff with it regardless. No hard feelings.
See,
That's kind of how you have to be these days.
This is appropriate because Wednesday, last time I was on air, I just played Elastica.
Oh.
Somehow the Vital Connection is made.
I don't know.
That was their big hit.
What was?
Connection.
Connection?
Somehow the Vital Connection is made. It was a big hit. They came here 95 or 6. I realized you weren't here, so...
I wasn't here, and my music knowledge is dwarfed by yours, Todd Hunter. I don't...
You know a lot more about 70s and 80s, I bet.
I think so.
Because I sort of skipped from the 60s to the 90s, and I've had to go back and learn. So you're like, I'm David Bowie. I'm like, who?
Someone just died. She just said, "Who?" after the name David Bowie.
Oh, the guy that was on that one Placebo single. Yes,
Right.
yes.
The guy from Labyrinth. Yeah, right.
Sure.
Todd. Anyways, so self-released on our record label, Perennial Records, which the name comes from my studio, which is called Perennial Sound Studio. It just made sense. The logo looks really good, and it helps us keep it in our own hands. So we're currently releasing and about to make another round of music videos and continuing to push it. It'll be on all digital streaming platforms. It'll be available to purchase digitally from Bandcamp and on Apple Music, and then, of course, streaming everywhere you stream. And then vinyl will be available on Bandcamp, at Exile on Main Street, at CU CD and Vinyl, hopefully a Record Swap. I don't really know the Record Swap guy yet, but I'm about to become his friend, I hope. We'd love to have our record everywhere we can locally, and then also trying to send it out nationally. So please follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, on whatever social networking you do. Check out our videos on YouTube. It's the only way that musical artists can survive these days is if people reciprocate and let us know that you're listening and watching and caring and loving and
If you buy the music, it helps way more than if you stream it. But if you have to stream it 1,000,000 times so we get a few dollars.
And if I may, authorized T-shirt sales.
And authorized T-shirt sales.
Right. Bootleg T-shirts don't help bands, but if you actually buy a T-shirt from a band, I think the profit margin is at least
totally. And
it registers on.
And I think we make pretty cool T-shirts, and we have new shirts all the time. So shirts and vinyl help bands survive way more than streaming. But you listening and talking about our music and spreading it around via those streams and those watches, they're better than any money in our pocket could ever be, because they spread the love. So check out the new record. It comes out Saturday. You can pre-order it now on Bandcamp, and then you'll be able to find it everywhere. And the show, City Center, 7 p.m. doors, 8 p.m. music. Prevalence goes on. Mermaid Heaven goes on. Family of Geniuses, and then we in Elsinore take the stage.
And I would just ask that before you leave tonight, stick your head in the booth or something.
Oh, I'll stick my head in the booth.
Excellent. Great. Yeah. Stay tuned for another hour of local music after this, but no less important, stick around for this song by Ryan Groff. Thank you.
The final track I'll play tonight, off the record. It was a single that we put out about a year ago. It happens to be about my wonderful and beautiful son, Oliver, and the song is called Oh.
I'll go anywhere you wanna go. I've got the car and some money. Be sure to tie up all your loose ends. We've got to get across the state line. Yourself as an apothecary, and you've been living in a submarine. But I never anticipated you'd be sleeping in the front yard. I'll say anything to satisfy you, even if it means I tell you lies. You'll do anything you can to convince me. Now we have to live here underground. Understanding conceptual. You've got a talent for univision. Your eyes catching the television. Pack up, don't worry about all that. Pack up, I'll take you anywhere you wanna go. I'll say anything to satisfy you, even if it means I tell you lies. You've done everything you can to convince me. Now we have to live here underground. I'll do anything to satisfy you, even if it's covering your eyes. You've done everything you can have to live here underground. I'll say anything to satisfy you, even if it means I tell you lies. You've done everything you can to convince me. Now we have to live here underground. I'll do anything to satisfy you, even if it's covering your eyes. You've done everything you can to convince me. Now we've gotta make it through the night.
Thank you all so much for listening and supporting Elsinore. Please check us out online and look for the new record on Saturday. And thank you to Todd and everyone here at WEFT, and for my dear friends for being here to check it out. Good night.